Hello, everyone, and I wish you a wonderful day. Today, we're going to explore a deeply emotional story about a family facing illness, sacrifice, and the power of unconditional love. It's a journey of a wife who gives up everything to save the man she loves, a father fighting for his life, and a little girl holding on to hope. This story will remind us how strong love can be, even in the darkest moments. If you enjoy touching and meaningful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Today, we bring you a deeply touching story about Hende and their little daughter, Maya. This is a story about a family facing a deadly illness, about sacrifice, and about a love that refuses to give up, even in the darkest moments. It's a story of maternal love, romantic love, and the unbreakable bond of family. If you enjoy emotional and heartwarming stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Day lay motionless on the hospital bed, his body frail, his skin pale, as if the color of life had slowly drained away. Each shallow breath he took felt like a knife tightening around Hen's heart. The illness had been merciless, quietly consuming his strength day by day, leaving behind a man who looked far weaker than the one she had married. And yet, even in that fragile state, his eyes still carried a faint glimmer of hope, a stubborn optimism that refused to fade. Seeing him like that filled Hen with conflicting emotions. Love, fear, pain, and desperation tangled together in her chest. She was terrified of what would happen if Day didn't receive surgery in time. Who would take care of him? And more than that, who would protect and love Maya the way her father did? The thought of their daughter growing up without him haunted Hen every time she stepped out of the hospital room. That fear followed her relentlessly, wrapping around her heart like a tightening storm. Day after day, Hen devoted herself entirely to caring for him. She washed his face every morning, fed him spoon by spoon, carefully gave him his medication, and paid close attention to every detail of his diet. She massaged his hands and feet with gentle patience, as if her touch alone could ease his pain or somehow hold him back from slipping further away. Leaning close, she whispered words of encouragement, hoping he could hear the strength she was trying so hard to show. "You'll be okay," she said softly, her voice trembling despite her efforts. "Maya needs you. I need you. We'll get through this together." At night, when moonlight crept through the hospital window, Hen sat beside his bed, her eyes burning with unshed tears. She forced herself to smile whenever Day looked at her, wanting to reassure him, even though inside she was drowning in worry. The mounting medical bills, the endless tests, the medications that cost more than they could afford. All of it pressed heavily on her shoulders. The cost of Day's treatment grew every single day. No matter how much they tried, no matter how much they sacrificed, it never seemed to be enough. Every invoice felt like a blow to her chest. Each number on the bill tightened the knot in her heart, reminding her that love alone could not pay for surgery. Sleepless nights became normal for Hen. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with fear that she might not have enough money to save the man she loved. Still, she never allowed that fear to show. For Day and for Maya, she swallowed her anxiety and kept moving forward. She knew that if she hesitated, if she allowed herself to break down, Day's condition could worsen, and Maya might lose the father she adored more than anything in the world. After countless nights of painful contemplation, Hen finally reached a decision, one that shattered her heart the moment she accepted it. She would sell the farm. That farm wasn't just land. It was their life. It was built with years of sweat, hard work, laughter, and tears. It held memories of early mornings, golden harvests, and quiet evenings shared as a family. Letting it go felt like tearing away a piece of her soul. But it was the only hope left, the only chance to save Day. The weight of that decision crushed her. Hen collapsed onto the cold floor one night, curling into herself, crying until her chest hurt. It felt as though her entire world was falling apart. But the next morning, when she looked at Day, weak, exhausted, yet still trying to smile at her and Maya, she knew she had no other choice. Each tear she shed became fuel for her determination. The very next day, Hen contacted a broker and began the painful process of preparing the farm for sale. She cleaned every corner, organized documents, and reached out to potential buyers. With each step, her heart replayed memories she wished she could hold on to forever. She remembered Maya running through the fields, laughing freely. She remembered warm afternoons spent together around the kitchen fire, sharing simple meals and simple happiness. Those memories hurt more than words could describe. But now, all of it had to be sacrificed for a greater purpose, saving Day's life. Hen knew that if the farm sold at the right price, it would be enough to cover the surgery and the expensive medications Day desperately needed. That hope was the only thing keeping her upright during days of pure exhaustion. Back at the hospital, Day often looked at Hen with eyes filled with gratitude and love. He understood the burden she was carrying, even if she never spoke about it. Guilt weighed heavily on him, knowing she was sacrificing everything for his sake. But her quiet strength and constant encouragement gave him comfort, as if her presence alone could shield him from fear and pain. Every time Hen held his hand, even lightly, Day felt something close to a miracle. It was the power of love, a love strong enough to push through suffering, hardship, and even the shadow of death. As the days passed, Hen lived on the edge of exhaustion. She stayed up late and woke up early, balancing hospital care with the endless paperwork of selling the farm. Her body ached. Her mind was tired, but she never once complained. Step by step, she carefully handled everything, determined to protect both Day and Maya from any further pain. Sometimes, when she saw Day struggling just to sit up or speak with Maya, his eyes full of tenderness and sorrow, Hen turned away quietly and cried. Those tears carried both despair and hope. They were a promise she made to herself that no matter what it cost her, she would not give up. In private moments, Hen held Maya close, stroking her hair gently. "Mommy will do everything to make Daddy better," she whispered. "I know this is hard, but we don't have another choice. Let's pray for Daddy together." Maya was still young, but she could feel her mother's fear and love. She clung tightly to Hen, her small eyes filled with trust. Those silent moments gave Hen a strength she never knew she had, pushing her to keep fighting against a reality that seemed determined to break her. When the money from the sale of the farm finally arrived, Hen didn't hesitate for even a second. She immediately contacted the hospital and the doctors, arranging Day's surgery and preparing everything needed to give him the best chance of survival. Her heart raced with a mixture of fear and hope, knowing this was the only path left, the choice that love had forced her to make. During the days leading up to the surgery, time seemed to slow down in the most painful way. Every hour felt heavier than the last, as if the hospital walls themselves were pressing in on Hen's chest. She stayed by Day's bedside almost constantly, afraid that if she stepped away for too long, something terrible might happen. Holding his hand, she talked to him softly, telling small stories about their past, about Maya's silly questions, about the future she still believed they could have together. Sometimes, when words failed her, Hen would quietly hum a familiar melody, one she used to sing while working on the farm. The tune was gentle, steady, and full of warmth. It brought a faint smile to Day's lips, even when his body was too weak to respond. In those moments, fear loosened its grip just a little, replaced by a fragile sense of peace. But when night came and the hospital grew quieter, Hen's thoughts returned to the risks ahead. Surgery was never guaranteed. She knew that even with the money, even with the doctor's best efforts, there was still a chance things could go wrong. The fear of losing Day lingered like a shadow, following her every breath. Still, she refused to let it show. Whenever he opened his eyes and looked at her, she met his gaze with calm strength. The morning of the surgery finally arrived. Hen woke before dawn, her body heavy with exhaustion, but her mind painfully alert. She helped Day prepare, adjusting his blanket, smoothing his hair, and holding his hand as the nurses came to wheel him away. Maya wasn't allowed inside the operating area, so Hen knelt down in front of her, holding her small shoulders gently. "Daddy is very brave," she said softly, "and he's going to come back to us. Let's wait for him together, okay?" Maya nodded, her eyes wide and anxious, but she didn't cry. She simply hugged her mother tightly, as if holding on was the only thing she could do. When the doors of the operating room closed, Hen felt her legs go weak. She sank into a chair in the waiting area, her hands clenched together so tightly that her fingers ached. The sterile smell of the hospital, the distant footsteps, the muted voices, everything blended into a blur as minutes slowly turned into hours. Each passing second felt unbearable. Hen stared at the closed doors, barely blinking. Her mind replayed every memory she had of Day, their first meeting, their wedding, the day Maya was born, the simple happiness they once took for granted. She prayed silently, again and again, promising everything she had if only he could survive. Maya sat beside her, leaning against her side, occasionally asking in a small voice when Daddy would come back. Each time, Hen swallowed her fear and answered with the same gentle reassurance. "Soon, Daddy is strong." At last, after what felt like an eternity, the doors opened. A doctor stepped out, removing his mask. For a moment, Hen couldn't breathe. Her heart pounded so loudly, she thought it might burst. She stood up slowly, afraid of what she might hear. "The surgery was successful," the doctor said. Those words broke through her like light after a long, endless night. Hen's knees nearly gave out as tears streamed down her face. She covered her mouth, unable to stop herself from sobbing. Tears of relief, gratitude, and overwhelming joy. She thanked the doctor repeatedly, her voice shaking, before rushing toward the recovery room. When she finally saw Day again, he was lying there, still weak, tubes and monitors surrounding him. But he was breathing steadily. His eyes were open, and when he saw Hen, a tired yet loving smile spread across his face. In that moment, all the pain, fear, and sacrifice seemed to melt away. Hen rushed to his side, gently holding his hand, afraid to squeeze too tightly. "You're okay," she whispered through her tears. You made it. You're really okay? Day looked at her, his eyes filled with emotion. He tried to speak, but his voice was faint. Instead, he squeezed her hand weakly, a silent expression of gratitude, love, and understanding. He knew what she had given up. He knew the price she had paid for his life. When Maya was allowed to see her father, she ran to the bedside, carefully climbing up to hug him. Daddy, she said softly, her voice trembling but full of relief. Day lifted his hand as much as he could, touching her hair gently. Tears slipped from his eyes as he looked at both of them, his family, his entire world. In the days that followed, recovery was slow but steady. Day remained weak, but each day brought small improvements. Hen stayed by his side, helping him eat, encouraging him to walk a few steps, celebrating every tiny victory as if it were a miracle. And to her, it truly was. Although the farm was gone, although years of memories had been left behind, Hen felt no regret. Seeing Day slowly regain his strength and watching Maya laugh again filled her heart with a deep, quiet happiness. She knew she had made the right choice. One afternoon, as sunlight poured softly through the hospital window, Hen sat beside Day, holding his hand just like she had done so many times before. But this time, her heart was lighter. I did everything for you and Maya, she said gently. Now you have to promise me something. Day looked at her, listening carefully. You have to take care of yourself, she continued, her voice steady but full of emotion. We still have a life ahead of us. We still have a family to protect. Day nodded slowly, tears gathering in his eyes. I promise, he whispered. I promise I won't waste this second chance. In that moment, Day truly understood that Hen's love was the miracle that had saved him. Not just the money, not just the surgery, but her unwavering devotion, her courage, and her willingness to give up everything for the people she loved. Weeks later, when Day was finally discharged from the hospital, the three of them stood together outside, breathing in the fresh air. Life was still uncertain. They no longer had the farm, and the future would not be easy. But they were together. And that was enough. They walked forward, hand in hand, ready to rebuild their lives from the ground up. Love had carried them through the darkest days, and love would continue to guide them ahead. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, and see you in the next video. This story follows Hen, a devoted wife and mother, as her family is pushed to the edge by a deadly illness. When her husband Day collapses and requires urgent surgery, Hen is forced to make the most painful decision of her life, selling the family farm filled with memories and hope. As medical bills rise and time runs out, Hen battles fear, exhaustion, and heartbreak, while caring for Day and protecting their young daughter, Maya. Through long nights in the hospital and moments of quiet despair, love becomes her greatest strength. Day survives the surgery, but the family's future remains uncertain. With everything they once had gone, can love alone help them rebuild a new life? Or will another unexpected challenge test their fragile happiness?